There was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a spider. It wriggled and jiggled and giggled inside her. She swallowed a spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. The fly and the spider ate her from the inside. All of her guts were completely fried. They ate her heart, her stomach, and spleen. They ate her liver with some fava beans. Guess what? She fucking died. Killer bug movies on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention, planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Time for the show. Yay.
Mary, Mary, why you bugging? It's time again for Attack of the Killer Podcast. I'm your creepy, crawly host, Insane Mike, and this is episode 215 that we are calling Buggin'. That's right, horror movies about killer bugs. If this happens to be your first time listening to Attack of the Killer Podcast, well, we're a horror movie podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about their common bond, their love for Taylor Swift.
Wait,
and
what?
then when they're done doing that, we hit record and talk about horror movies.
Yeah.
And we pick a topic. We discuss films in that topic openly and freely, so there's probably going to be spoilers. Now, if you like the show and want even more Attack of the Killer podcast in your life, check out our site, jointheattackers.com. That's jointheattackers, there's an S there, .com. There you can become an actual member of the Attackers. Now, being an attacker gets you all kinds of special privileges that only a member can receive. You get bonus episodes, so you'll have new Attack of the Killer podcast every single week. But if that's not enough for you, well, you also get various videos from our weekly Patreon videos, Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 list, and our new monthly Killer Critiques show. And there's even more you could get, from like shout outs on the show to our new Killer Podcast shirt, and even more stuff coming. We're always coming up with stuff. It's awesome.
Yep. So
you can check it all out at jointheattackers.com and get more Attack of the Killer podcasts in your life. That's at jointheattackers.com. And become an official attacker today, just like our two new attackers, Joe and Ryan from the show Late Night Psychorama. It's an awesome show. They're awesome guys. And Jason and I were even on their newest episode of Late Night Psychorama. So
Excursion 63.
So you need to check out their show right here on the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. And they also have the Patreon for their show. So if you like their show, and you will, you can help support their show as well. So, but nevertheless, welcome, guys, to the Attackers family. Right now, I would like you to meet these attackers that are part of the show. That's right. It's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. When he went to the bathroom, there was a roach on the toilet seat. So we peed on it, and the roach was pissed off. Andy, everybody.
And then I smoked it, the roach, actually. Yes. Hi.
On the last day of his vacation, he stayed at the Papa Roach Motel. It was his last resort. Jason!
Oh, my goodness. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Oh, this is a special intro just for him. Sometimes my intros really bug him. Sometimes they tick him off. At least he doesn't fly off the handle. Tad!
That's a pretty good one. I'll take that. Hello.
And now our very special guest, all the way from the amazing Geeking Poetic podcast, right here on the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, Vito Marchese, everybody.
Hey, and you pronounced my last name correctly. Thank you.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Nobody ever does that, so bravo, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. I'm good at that.
I might have helped him.
Oh, okay.
Well, welcome, Vito. How's it going?
It's going, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
why don't you tell everybody at home a little bit about your show, Geeking Poetic?
So, as you said, Geeking Poetic is on the PFPN network, which we're very proud to be on. Our show focuses more, I think, a little bit more on the geeky side of things. We do a lot of pop culture stuff, science fiction shows. We have toy review shows. I do that along with my friends Larry and Megan. We've been doing that for about two and a half years now, I think.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We do a YouTube channel too, where we do some silly videos that coincide with the topic of the month. We're just having a good time.
Awesome.
It's a great show. Obviously I love the show, but you guys, it's awesome watching your guys' videos, your little teaser videos and stuff. You go all out, and it's always hilarious to watch. I love those.
Those are fun to do, man. That's probably my favorite thing that we do.
Well, thanks for being on, man. So pumped to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Now, Attack of the Killer podcast is sponsored by Shudder. Shudder is one of the largest selections of horror movies on a premium streaming service. So Shudder has so much for any horror fan, so check them out. And if you're not sure you want to subscribe, try a month for free thanks to all the kick-ass people here at Attack of the Killer podcast. That's right. We are the podcast that just keeps on giving. Get a full month of Shudder for free by entering our promo code AOTKP. Trust me when I say once you will start, you will not stop. Again, the promo code is AOTKP. Shudder. It's just like Pringles. You can't eat just one. And now it's time for Tad and what we watched.
All right, welcome to What We Watched. I'm going to actually call upon myself first because I usually go last, and I have quite a bit I've watched recently. So I'm just going to cut in line because it's my segment and I do what I want. I think it was last week we watched Shocking Dark for the watch party for the AOTKP watch party. We host those now almost every other week, so check us out on Facebook and join us. They're a lot of fun, and this one was a blast. It was a Alien knockoff that turned into a Terminator knockoff. Perfect for a watch party just because it's so ridiculous, but it was entertaining. Never seen it before. I've seen that poster about 1 million times because the poster says Terminator 2, right? And everybody, it's just so confusing. They clearly trying to knock it off, but I really enjoyed that one. I watched a new release from the horror collective called Blood Vessel. It's a World War II era vampire film. It's I did not really enjoy it, to be honest. Visually really cool. The idea was sort of cool. This group is abandoned out in the ocean on a life raft. They come upon an abandoned Nazi ship, has the whole swastika flags, everything. They board the ship. They think it's completely empty, and slowly they realize they're not alone, and there's some vampires on there. And they wake up the vampires, and obviously shit goes down. And the vampires are very much like the bat-looking vampires, where they're almost not human at all. I thought from the premise, like Nazi ship, vampires, this could be badass. Cool title, Blood Vessel, play on words. Not so much. It took me 4 different sessions to finish it. Like I had to come back to it, and it was tough. But if I start something, I'm going to finish it, and I did. Someone might like it. Like I said, visually really cool. The colors and stuff, and it has practical effects, which is a plus. But overall, I could have found something better to do with that hour and a half. I've been going to the drive-in almost every weekend in Bluegrass, which is about an hour and a half from home. And we saw the new Dave Franco directed The Rental. It's the first time he's directed a film. Has his wife and Mike's crush in it. And she has... I'm like really bad with names. Alison Brie, so it had her in it. It had the kid that plays Lip in Shameless. I'm bad with his name, but he's a good actor. It has Daniel Stevens, I think is what his name is, from The Guest. He's really good in it, and has the lead girl from A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So all four of the main characters are recognizable from other things. Dave Franco co-wrote it with a friend, and it was his first time he directed. I thought he did very good. It was really cool. I mean, of course, it was probably ramped up because I'm seeing a new horror movie in a drive-in, which is really cool. But this movie starts as sort of I don't even know how much to say because I don't want to spoil it for you guys because you need to just watch it. But it is really good. I think you guys will all dig it. Has anyone else seen this one yet?
I saw it this weekend and I loved it too. I didn't want to because of Mike and his girlfriend's not boyfriend. But I thought it was great. It was really intense.
What's the name again?
The Rental.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. So what I can say about it without spoiling it, I guess, is that this group of it's two brothers and their girlfriends go take a vacation, and they do like a Airbnb. They rent out a big, nice house, and shit goes bad. It's not exactly what they expected for a vacation. And I won't say anything else beyond that because it has a lot of good twists and turns, and you just need to watch it. I would recommend that one, not Blood Vessel. So watch The Rental, not Blood Vessel. Friday night, I started something that I did not think I would finish in one sitting, and I ended up watching all of it. I checked out In Search of Darkness on Shudder, which is a over 4-hour long documentary on 80s horror. I didn't hate it as much as Larry seemed to.
Yeah. He really did.
Yeah, he was. I think Larry might have done the like pre-order on GoFundMe or whatever they did, where they charge you like $40 for a burnt Blu-ray, and I think he felt a little bit ripped off from it. There's probably nothing in this documentary that nobody that is on this podcast or even listens to this podcast doesn't know. It's really just like they go year by year and go through 80s horror movies and sort of touch on the biggest ones. There was not a title I hadn't seen on this, and it was interesting to see some cool talking heads that have some fun stories, but they give everybody like 15 seconds to talk about the movie, and there's just it's not very in depth. It's good to have in the background as I was editing a podcast or having dinner or whatever. It was just something to play if you're cleaning the living room or something, but it's not something that I would recommend sitting down for 4 hours and investing in because it's, like I said, nothing really new. Has anyone else seen this one?
I did. It's funny. I was actually one of the crowdfunders for their documentary, but I still haven't watched it. I actually ordered it for my best friend, and I sent it to her for Christmas, but they sent me the digital copy. I just haven't had time to watch it, and this has been 8 months now or whatever. But yeah, I heard my buddy watched it on his own, and he said some of the same complaints you've had. Is it's not very much in depth. It's stuff we already kind of knew about, and it's not really worth watching. I don't know how true that is, but it sounds like it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I sort of had a heads up, I guess, from different people saying basically the same thing. So I sort of knew what I was getting into, and it's purely nostalgia. It's like, remember this one, and it's just these sort of actors that you see at every horror convention talking about the movies that you see at every horror convention. And that's okay. It's fine. And if it's somebody who's new to horror, this would be a really cool introduction for them. Like if I would have saw this in the 90s, before I saw all these movies, it would have been like mind blowing. I would be like, oh, I need to check out this one. I've been writing them down, but it just hit Shudder this week. I think Friday it just hit Shudder, or Thursday. So it's on there now. And like I said, it's not groundbreaking by any means, but I watched it once. I won't watch it again, but it was fine. Almost done with my list. On Saturday, Saturday we went and saw Gremlins and the Goonies at the drive-in double feature. That was a blast just because I forget there's some connections between those two movies where they reference each other. Just some fun little, nods and stuff, both produced by Steven Spielberg, classics of the 80s. Obviously, I was very excited to see Gremlins. I've seen the Goonies probably too many times because I have an older brother who just, this was something we watched probably 3 times a week for fucking 5 years. And I've seen Gremlins a million times too, but seeing it at the drive-in was just on the big screen in your car in the summer, just really cool. Obviously, it's more of a Christmas movie, but it was still rad to see it on the big screen. And the last movie, and this one comes highly, highly, highly recommended. It feels like I'm just pushing Shudder because they're our sponsor, but I'm not. I watched the new movie Host that just dropped this weekend, and it was awesome. It's the first movie, I guess, the sort of first release that was filmed completely during the quarantine, and it's from the perspective of completely shot on Zoom. Obviously, it wasn't actually shot on Zoom, but they did a damn good job making it seem like that. The story of it's pretty simple. This group, I think of like 5 girls and 1 guy, join a medium. They hire a medium to do a seance over Zoom because they're basically stuck at home and bored. And as you can imagine, shit goes really bad. This movie's only like 63 minutes. It's like just over an hour. And it's really creative and really cool. It sort of gives off that Unfriended, I think it was, the dark web one. Sort of has that vibe. But this is something a little different because it's so prevalent to how we're all getting along right now, staying at home and stuff. So I highly recommend this one. Had my wife was really sort of freaking out. It was getting her. She was terrified through the whole thing. So a lot of great jump scares, something to pop some popcorn, turn off the lights, and it's only an hour. So you can watch The Host 4 times in the time you watch In Search of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my what I watched. I will kick it over to Andy. What have you watched?
Well, I didn't get as much as I would have liked to. Mainly because I was watching the documentary, which is a horror movie in and of itself. It's not really a horror, but I watched Surviving R. Kelly, and
Yikes.
it is so freaking difficult. It had the same vibe as that filthy rich Jeffrey Epstein.
Ugh.
Like once you start like peeling the Band-Aid, you might as well just like rip it off, because I mean you got to finish it. And wow. There's this one scene where this mother literally has to rescue her daughter from a hotel. And I'll spoil a little bit for you, but and this is like just the tip of the iceberg, but she has to go to LA into Beverly Hills to this hotel where this girl is being literally forced to stay because she's been brainwashed. And if you look at this girl, like in the pictures, it's this, obviously underaged black girl, and she's pretty from the picture because she has, shoulder length black hair. And by the time that the mother got to her, she had basically full sleeve tattoos on both arms, because her mother hadn't seen her in, I think, over 3 years. And the girl wasn't, these girls aren't allowed to eat, aren't allowed to talk, aren't allowed to say or do anything without R. Kelly's permission, right? So when they finally find her, this girl has, very short hair, a flat billed cap, and basically one of the employees said, basically, from what I could tell, and I'm paraphrasing, that this was, since she was very tomboyish to begin with, R. Kelly made her dress and basically made her look like a boy. So he was her, quotation fingers, boy toy. Like some weird, yeah. So yeah, this is the disturbing shit that I was watching, and I was just like, why can't I? I'd rather watch Day of the Dead. I'd rather watch somebody's fucking intestines fall out.
Yeah, real life is much more horrific than what anyone can write. Yeah.
Oh God. So yeah, this is a 5-part series, and this is just one of the stories, dude. And that's one of the more intense ones, but there's still there was still families out there that hadn't seen their daughters, in, a couple of years because he was going to help them with their careers. And it's just this guy is a real pile of dog shit. The other thing that I watched part of Charlie's Farm, which is kind of like an Australian kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe. I can't really say that I've watched all of it, but I know that from what I saw, I thought it was pretty cool. Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder and Tara Reid are actually in it, and wow. Tara Reid is literally, I mean, I hate to sound like an asshole here, but she is like literally the most horrifying thing in that movie so far. And in order to kind of calm my nerves from what I was watching, I actually watched Haunted Honeymoon with the wife, with Gilda Radner and Gene Wilder, and yeah, it wasn't bad. It helped me laugh and helped me. It was kind of like a palate cleanser from if you can cleanse your palate after watching something like that from Surviving R. Kelly. So yeah, and I watched Shocking Dark with you guys, and those are the ones I just really wanted to kind of touch on. So I mean, if you do watch Surviving R. Kelly, be ready for
to wash your eyes out with soap.
Yeah. Well,
just
yeah.
be angry. It's angering, yeah.
Yeah, be prepared to have like an MMA fight with your fucking soul. It's what I'm saying. It's because that's what it kind of is. So, yeah, monsters do exist, people, and they walk amongst us. That's all I got.
Yeah, I watched that when it aired originally on VH1, and it was just horrifying. I don't know. I guess I recommend it if people want to know the truth about that, but he's finally facing charges and getting what he deserves. So,
oh God, yes.
Yeah.
General population too. None of this protective custody bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, he deserves the worst that can come to him. One thing I forgot to mention that I was on my list because it's not a movie and it's not on my letterbox. I watched season 3 of MTV's Scream. I watched the first season when it aired. I did not watch the second season because it didn't necessarily, I don't know, it didn't keep me invested. I guess I would say the first season I sort of just watched it because it was there. But season 3, it was done in like 6 parts with 40-minute episodes. They filmed it and then they sat on it for like 2 years on the shelf and then they brought it back. And season 3 does not follow season 2 at all.
Oh, perfect. That's my question. I have seen season 1 and I liked season 1 a lot, but
they completely restart. It's a whole new show with all new characters, and as if the first 2 seasons don't exist. It's just called Scream. And they bring back the classic Ghostface mask, which is good. Just something about it, just like having that mask back just makes it feel like Scream. And it's a group of teenagers out of high school, and they're all getting slowly murdered by Ghostface, and they're all accusing each other of being Ghostface. It's the typical, exactly what you want out of Scream. It's a little more centered towards and pushed towards teens than the films. So there's not a lot of gore and swearing and stuff, but there's, plenty of sexuality and some good jump scares and stuff. I wouldn't say it's like, there's a lot of other things to check out before this, but it was something cool. I sort of just watched an episode each night before as I lay down and went to bed, and it was a quick watch. Like I said, I think it's only like 6 parts, so it's not even, it's not even a full season. It feels like it goes by really quick, and I enjoyed it. So yeah. Scream season 3. You don't have to watch the first 2, and I would say if you don't even bother with the first 2 if you're going to watch any, because this one's better.
Cool.
So Jason, what did you watch?
Okay, I'll try to blast through the list here. Well, Mike mentioned earlier in the shout outs to the new attackers, we were on an episode, the episode of Late Night Psychorama, and we watched Horror Express from 1972. It has Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it. It's the first time I'd seen it, and it's pretty freaking awesome. and Telly Savalas sucks.
No, he doesn't.
And
He's
then,
awesome in it.
He's terrible in that movie. And
Oh
then,
my god!
listen to the episode; it's pretty good. And Neon Maniacs is also we watched. That was our pick. They pick up one, and we get to pick one, and we got to spread the love of Neon Maniacs, and 2 out of 3 liked it, so that was good.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Tina and I, we got to go to our first drive-in of the year, and we both saw Back to the Future and Jurassic Park. That was a really great
double feature.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to not say or not, but Tina had not seen Jurassic Park before.
Well, that's a way to see it, man.
I know. It was great.
Nikki hadn't seen it until we started dating either, so.
Yeah.
Wow, that boggles my mind that these people haven't seen Jurassic Park, man. I saw that like 4 or 5 times in the theater when it came out.
Yeah, I saw it like when it came out. Saw it, obviously had the VHS. Then they re-released it probably 5 or so years ago in 3D. Saw it then. Like anytime I can watch fucking Jurassic Park, I'm watching it.
Yeah, it's a classic, dude.
And I'm not kidding. Like in the next week or 2 following that, there has been at least 3 Jurassic Park references in the world that like I'm like, you get that now. Every time there's a reference somewhere, I'm just like, hey, you know what that means now. All right. And so I've been it's a very slow kick, but I'm working on my Roman Polanski films, and Hulu has The Tenant from 1976. And so I finally watched that, and I freaking loved it. It stars Roman. He's the main character, and he basically moves into an apartment that the previous tenant had committed suicide. And while he stays in this room, he starts to kind of go crazy and kind of gets to the place that the previous tenant did. And it's really neat and really fun. And it's I don't know, it's definitely not a horror movie. It's more of that other word that I'm not allowed to say on the show.
It's a thriller.
But I love, but there's some once shit starts getting crazy, there is some artistry in what Polanski did, and some of these shots I remember sitting on the couch just kind of like shitting my pants, like, whoa.
They make like medicine for that.
Oh, I know.
They're almost like a 1408 kind of vibe.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen 1408?
No.
You haven't seen it?
Nope. No. Anyway, so The Tenant, I recommend it, and I will hopefully get to watch some more Polanski stuff. I too saw The Rental. Fantastic. That's all I'm going to say. Tina and I also watched Inheritance. It's 2020 film, starring Simon Pegg as kind of the bad guy.
Oh,
and it's a pretty low budget movie that has pretty much nobody's in it except for him. And yeah.
Did they spend all their budget on Simon Pegg?
I imagine so. Well, actually, not really, because a lot of the set pieces, the family is a rich family, so there's like very fancy houses and hotels and cars and things. But so I imagine a good chunk of the budget went to that. But Simon Pegg is great in it. So it's a neat little film. I finally caught Sea Fever. It's on Hulu. I fucking loved it. Nice. Oh, it was so good. And I don't know, it was fun to watch with Tina because she kind of yells at the
screen. She's freaking out. Yeah. There's a lot of like eye bursting. Yeah.
Oh, that first one is just incredible.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love it.
I was hoping Blood Vessel would be more in that vein when I started it, and it was not. I was like, oh, abandoned ship, that kind of thing. Nah.
Uh-huh.
No.
Oh, anyway, yeah, I recommend it. I loved it a lot. The score was great too. Then we watched on Hulu as well. We watched The Assistant from 2019. It's I think it's a female director, and I can't remember. I don't know anybody in the cast, but I think Mike, you might like it, and any of us, in the film industry, it's kind kind of a snapshot into the world of an assistant in a female assistant in a male dominated industry. And it's a really neat movie because you're just following her around. So there's like just tons of scenes with like no dialogue and she's just fucking stapling this and cleaning up after that. And
sounds like a blast. She's cleaning up and
I knew it. But it's hard, but it's neat because maybe I like it because there wasn't any real resolution. It didn't really go anywhere. There wasn't an arc. It was just like hey, this is probably what it's like to have this pretty crappy job.
You're really not selling it.
And it's a artistically shot and the score is great. Now leave me alone. Watch the trailer. It looks good. It's on Hulu. Shut up. And then not lastly, what we also watched on HBO came out this week. And it's not horror, but it was fucking amazing. Motherless Brooklyn, written, directed by Ed Norton.
Oh yeah.
I've heard good things. I was hoping you were going to say like the Child Star documentary that Alex Winter did on HBO. I want to see that.
Not yet.
Oh,
Alex Winter, you got Mike's.
You got me
attention.
Awake.
Yeah.
Love me, Alex Winter.
Me too.
I'm waiting for that freaking Frank Zappa. What's that?
I said Bill S. Preston Esquire.
Oh yeah, I'm still waiting for that Frank Zappa documentary he had been working on.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah,
but Ed Norton plays a member of a private eye investigation group back in the heyday of New York. That's very noir, the movie, but Ed Norton's character has Tourette's.
Oh, cool.
And it's a very big part of the movie.
So it's a film noir where the main character has Tourette. Please tell me it's got the noir tropes of the detective narrating.
Yep.
And does he do Tourette's during the narration?
Absolutely.
Oh my god! Okay. Sold.
No, it's fucking great.
A femme fatale as well.
It's really great.
Does he do any stapling or cleaning?
All right, moving on. And then it's really good. It's on HBO. It's great. We watched this, and it's a documentary called "It Started as a Joke," and it's a documentary about the Eugene Merman Comedy Festival. We do a lot of comedy watching, Tina and I, and Eugene Merman is the guy who plays Gene on Bob's Burgers.
He's just hilarious.
Yeah, and he's just a comedian who's like, and you might appreciate this, Mike, because it's something that we would do. He started a festival to make fun of other festivals, and he just named it after himself, who was just a guy 10 years ago. And so this documentary is about the last year, the 10th year. They're going to call it quits because his wife gets cancer, and it gets kind of sad. But everybody anybody who's in this movie, and it celebrates Eugene a lot, just because he was just like, everything that they did was a fucking joke, and and it worked out, and then it built this comedy scene in Brooklyn, and it was really good. It was a pretty good little doc, and that was on Prime. Okay, that's what I watched, and there was no cleaning in that movie. So,
well, I think it's been a couple years. We went and saw the Comedians of Bob's Burgers in Iowa City at the. I think it's called the Union or whatever on the campus. And, they had him, and they had just about everybody from the show on there, including Merman. And, obviously very funny, great show. I felt like the only problem was that they have so many names on there and they're all so funny that they didn't get enough time.
Yeah.
But really great show, sold out, completely sold out, huge, thousands of people there. And so the show ends, everybody, slowly tries to get out. It's in the middle of winter, and we walk like 4 blocks over to, I'm trying to think of what, the Pullman Diner, downtown Iowa City, to get some food after the show. And we're sitting there at our booth eating, and my friend Noah's like, dude, don't make it obvious, but look over your shoulder. And we look over, and they're all sitting in a booth like right behind us eating.
Ooh,
and
nice.
it was like, oh, that's fucking cool. But they're eating. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. No one wants to be that guy. Like, they just played a show. Don't bother them. So we finished and, paid our bill, and we got up, and I sort of just looked at our table and was like, great show, guys. And we're like, thanks. And that was it. Like, I didn't want to, I want to make sure that they knew that, just to show appreciation, but not bug them. So
Yeah.
as much as I wanted to get a picture with all of them, I knew just to leave them alone because they're trying to eat dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you'd probably like this doc. It's pretty great.
Oh, I'm sure. I actually saw the thumbnail and I wanted to check it out. Looks pretty funny. I'm sure it is great. All right, Vito, what have you watched recently?
Okay, so actually yesterday I saw a found footage horror film called House with 100 Eyes.
That's a title.
Yeah, this, man, you guys ever watch a movie that's like really good, but you would never ever watch it again because it's like too disturbing?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
well, that's what this is for me. It's basically this married couple who, I guess they make and sell like snuff films, and they get and they wanted to make like a triple feature, so they find like these homeless people on the street and like get them to come to their house so they can make a movie, and then their idea is to kill them and videotape it, and things go horribly wrong. There's like infighting between the husband and wife. It's really messed up. The actual gore effects were done extremely well. But there's some weird, like, and in a lot of found footage films that do like these audio and video glitches for some reason. They do that in this one, but there's no reason for them to do it. It's not like a paranormal thing. It's just, I don't understand why they did it. And when they went to do the audio glitch, the sound was so loud and distorting that I had to constantly turn the volume down and then back up. So that was kind of annoying. But yeah, it's one of those movies where I thought it was done really well, except for that stuff, but it's just way too disturbing where I would not watch it again. Some other movies I watched that were non-horror was a movie called The Old Guard on Netflix with Charlize Theron. It's basically about these immortals that have been around for millennia, and they're kind of hired as like mercenaries to do work for the government and the army and stuff like that. And it's just incredibly well done, very good story. Character development is outstanding. Highly recommend that one. And then I also saw Ready Player One for the first time, which so that one was interesting. I have not read the book yet, so I'm not sure if my experience would be better if I'd read the book, but I liked the movie just fine. I just felt that it was really long when it didn't need to be.
I agree.
It was almost like an hour too long. I think that ends like 3 times where I was like, all right, well, you ended the movie. I don't know where you're going to go. And there's still an hour left, man. So, but the nostalgia was great. I mean, all the little throwbacks that they did, there's a Chucky scene in there that I fucking laughed my ass off. I love that. Yeah. Overall, I wasn't that impressed with that one. That's about it for new movies. I'm pretty bad at watching new movies. I tend to stick to movies I've seen like hundreds of times and just rewatch them over and over again.
I do that too. Usually that's like on this I go last and I have like 2 movies, but this, for some reason, this last week I've been checking out new stuff. So
nice.
So I guess that leaves you, Mike. What have you watched?
Okay, so my girlfriend Brandy had just watched It Chapter 2 finally for the first time, and she loved it so much and was so excited that we did an entire It marathon of the original and the new movies.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So 3 days later, and they're all still awesome. The original's still great. God,
I'll say, how does that hold up? I haven't seen it since the 90s.
It holds up to what I remembered it and expected it to be. Like it definitely wears its budget and its time on its sleeve pretty big. But I still think it's great, and there's moments where it's like, okay, I can see why this cast of TV sitcom actors don't make it past TV sitcoms. But I don't care. I still love all those guys and love seeing them do this particular film. And I feel like out of the entire cast, in my opinion, that John Ritter, God, it's such a shame we lost him so early, but he could have gone on to do things well beyond television sitcom comedy.
Absolutely, man.
Great, granted, in my opinion, he's one of the best physical comedians of all time, but he's got some really great emotional moments in that original that hold up really, really well as far as his performance. And of course, Tim Curry, amazing, so hidden in that role. And I always admire actors that are hidden really well. But for me, it was fun and interesting to see the huge contrast in the stories in both films, both versions, and the telling of the stories as far as like the sequences of things. Like, like for example, oh my God, it's like the whole first hour and a half of the original is just Mike calling up all of them and telling them to come back to Derry because Pennywise is back, because he calls them and then there's like a flashback to when they're kids and their personal experience with Pennywise. And of course they tell that majorly different in the new ones. All those personal moments are in the first film. So when the phone calls happen, when they're adults, it's like 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of the second movie, and it went by so fast for me. I'm like, holy cow, that was crazy. But yeah, I love them all, and I definitely think the original is definitely worth its weight, and definitely worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it in forever. But
yeah, that first one is just, I love it, dude. That's my favorite Stephen King adaptation, I'd have to say.
Tommy Lee Wallace too.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. I finally got to see Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Fuck yeah.
And it's freaking awesome.
You watch the director's cut or the theatrical?
Whichever one is on HBO. I don't know.
They have both on there, I think.
I don't remember what we watched then.
Was it like 3 hours or 4 hours?
Oh God, I think it must have been the theatrical cut, because I think it was only like 3 hours.
Okay.
But amazing. Loved it. I thought they did an amazing job there with all recreating the Overlook and all that. All those scenes.
Yeah, so cool.
So scenes. And the cast they got to replace the original actors did spot on without it coming off as like, SNL impressions,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So really good stuff. And then last thing I watched, Jason and I watched, it's not a horror film, but it was funny as shit. That new Palm Springs movie on Hulu, the new
I loved it, yeah.
Andy Samberg movie. Oh yeah, I loved it. I mean, I love that premise, and I'm getting a little worried that it's going to start becoming overdone. Just that whole waking up the same day over and over and over again, Groundhog's Day style. Because we've seen it now in, Happy Death Day.
Movies.
And isn't that the premise of that? What's that called? Russian Doll series they had on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So funny. Sandberg is the man.
But a cool spin on it, the fact that you can bring other people into this world of repeating the same day over and over again. Yeah, Andy is awesome. Kristen Milotti, is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, she was really good. She's also really funny. And then those scenes with J.K. Simmons are freaking gold as well. Him just hunting Andy down throughout the movie. So good. Anyway, and I thought they did a really good job, because this is a movie that they explain how it happens. Unlike Groundhog's Day, where it just happens randomly, but this explains what's happening and how it's happening, and they create the world really well with covering their tracks. I could not think of any like time loopy flaws that I could point out, so I thought they did a good job with it. So that's what I watched.
Excellent. I think that's everybody. So let's get to the show.
All right, cool. But before we do, we have a new thing we're starting here in the Attack of the Killer podcast universe. It's the Twitter polls, or as Jason's calling it, Attack of the Killer podcast poll position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
So, Attack of the Killer podcast pole position. And what is that? So, it's our new Twitter poll where we're going to ask a question. Each member of the show is going to give their answer, and you guys at home will vote on Twitter on what you think the best answer is. And we have one. We've done one already that hasn't closed yet, so we'll share the results on that on the next episode. But we have another one coming up that you guys can vote on now. So we're going to share with you on the show what that is. So the question is, what is your favorite bug scene to kind of go along with this episode? And I'll just start off. For me, it's E.G. Marshall's death scene in They're Creeping Up on You from the original Creep Show. Him just exploding with cockroaches.
Oh, that's such a good scene.
So good. Jason, what is yours?
My pick, I'm going with one of my favorites is You Can Check In, But You Can't Check Out from Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Mm-hmm.
Screaming Mad George.
Yes. Very awesome. I remember seeing that in the theater and just being...
Oh, yeah. You stopped you stopped lifting weights after that movie.
That
You was a big weightlifter before.
That movie is responsible for the shape I'm in today. Tad, what's yours?
Well, I had a hard time narrowing it down I knew which movie I wanted to go with. I went with Cronenberg's The Fly, but I had a hard time sort of narrowing down a scene because there's so many great ones. I went with the one that's just over the top disgusting, which narrows it down to another 30 scenes.
Right.
But the scene that when I was sort of just going through highlights on YouTube that stuck out to me is a scene where he is killing the ex-boyfriend of his lady with the vomiting. He was like vomiting on his hands and vomiting on him and melting away his flesh. It's just so nasty. I mean, the scene that sort of freaked me out most was when he starts losing his teeth, because that's like one of my biggest phobias is teeth. When he sort of pulls his own teeth out and puts them in his medicine cabinet. But this scene is just so grotesque and sort of does the whole Cronenberg body horror thing, where he's puking on the guy's hand and it turns to goo. So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great one. Andy, what about you?
Well, I just thought of a different one. I had one in my head, but I am kind of going to go like classic with Candyman with all the bees in his rib cage.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
Good one.
Really good one. So there you have it, folks. Now, Jason, do the technical side of this. Explain, because I'm assuming you didn't have to write this down at home because the question and the answers are going to be posted here.
Yep, just go to AOTKP at Twitter, and it'll be pinned at the top of our channel, and it'll have. Well, you can only have 4 options. That's why. Otherwise, I mean, we can still ask Vito what his might be, but Twitter only lets you have 4 poll answers, so that's why we're doing it. But and I'll also have a picture there that shows what our answers were. So you just pick one of us and who your favorites are and who you think got it right.
And I know it'll be tempting. Don't just pick me because you like me. Pick what you think the correct answer is, which is mine also.
So for fun, Vito, do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, so I would probably go with Starship Troopers.
I knew it. I could have bet money on that.
The brain bug scene towards the end where it sticks its thing through that dude's head and sucks his brain out. And you just see his face just cave in. I thought that was really disgusting and amazingly well done.
That's a great one. Cool. Okay, so now it's on to the show. Oh, wait, no, it's time once again for everybody's favorite game, Insane's Games. And this game we are playing one of my favorites, the Vincent Price is Right. We're coming back to this one. It's like the Price is Right, where I give you a question. The answer is numbers oriented. So you have to guess. You put out your guess. The person closest number wise to the right answer wins, but you cannot go over. Okay. So first question is, how tall was Vincent Price? Jason?
My answer is going to be 6'3".
6'3". Tad, what about you?
I'm going with 6'1", Bob.
6'1". Andy?
6'2".
6'2". Vito?
6 foot even.
6 foot even. So the correct answer is 6'4". Jason won that one.
Wow. You deserve that one.
Right.
Jason knows height.
I do. I'm 6'5", so I know what it's like.
So you are a inch taller than Vincent Price. Well, probably not now.
Wow. No, he's okay.
According to IMDb, I feel like I have to make sure that is said. What was the budget for House on Haunted Hill? Vito, we'll start with you.
I'm going to say $300,000.
$300,000. Okay. Tad?
$300,001, Bob.
All right. Andy?
275,000.
5,000. Okay. Jason?
I'm going to go $302,000.
You mother.
Well, all of you went over.
Oh, dang it.
All of you went over. The correct answer was $200,000.
Wow.
Someone should have did $1.
Yeah.
Yep,
That's right.
I should have. Shoot.
Okay, so the end scene in the original Fly from 1958 with Vincent Price and seeing the little tiny guy getting eaten by the spider. Help me, help me.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's a lot of giggles that day for some reason. How many takes did it take to shoot that final scene due to laughing? Let's go with Tad.
14, Bob.
14. Vito?
26.
26. Jason?
I'm going to go with 15.
15. Andy?
13.
13. Again,
Oh, we
you all went over.
Oh, Andy, you should have done one.
The answer was 10.
Ugh.
The answer was 10. Okay, so what was the budget of Dead Heat? Yes, Treat William, Joe Piscopo. But yes, Vincent Price is in there. He's in there. What's the budget? Vito, why don't you start?
$1.3 million.
1.3 million. Andy?
$10 million.
10 million. Tad?
$1, Bob.
All right, and Jason?
I wrote down 1.5 million.
1.5. And the answer is, so let's see, wait, who's so Jason was 1.5. Ted was $1. Andy was
10 million.
10 million.
$10 million.
And Vito is 1.3. So Jason wins it again because the answer was $5 million.
Oh.
However,
Wow, 5 million.
what was the U.S. gross for Dead Heat? Jason?
I'm going to go. Oh, man. You said it like it's going to be less than that. Oh, shoot. Yep. I'm going to say 1 million.
$1 million. Vito?
$1.3 million.
1.3 million. Tad?
900,000.
900,000. He has seen the movie. And Andy?
$1.
Oh,
Smart.
Oh gosh, let me see here. Vito gets that one at 1.3 million because the answer was 3,588,662. It lost some money. No, it lost money. Okay, and our last question for this game. One of his first horror films was The Invisible Man Returns. What year was it released? Jason?
1966.
1966. Tad?
1964.
1964. Andy.
54.
54. And Vito.
$1.
1961.
1961. Now, you all heard me say his
It was
first
one of his
score
first. Yeah,
first.
I
I know, we
totally fucked.
Way too
You
high.
all went way over. The year was
Oh.
1940.
I was gonna say, fucking House of Wax came out in 53.
Yeah, that's right.
So it looks like with a score of 2, Jason's our big winner.
Hot dang.
With Vito as runner-up with 1 win.
Going to Disney World.
And that was the Vincent Price is Right. So enough of these shenanigans. Let's get on with the topic. Killer bug movies. What are we going to talk about first, Andy?
We are talking about a film from 1993 entitled Ticks.
Come get your bags, guys.
This place looks worse than the project.
It started out small,
It's got measles bumps. It's a tick. Vampires of the insect world.
a part of Mother Nature's wonder.
What is so inspiring about bugs and insects and snakes?
But then they grew
Don't move. There's something on your back.
Get off now!
and grew
Just don't touch it if you don't know what it is. Don't touch it, it attacked me.
unimaginable,
Ticks do not get this big.
unthinkable, unbelievable.
There's a huge fire and a whole bunch of those tick things headed this way.
Where civilization ends, the nightmare begins.
Everybody get upstairs! Go!
Be careful!
Ticks. It's not nice to mess with Mother Nature.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear this.
Oh my.
All right, let's get a description here that I wrote. At-risk teens from LA take part in a wilderness project run by Charles Danson, which is way too close to Charlie Manson, and his girlfriend Holly Lambert tagging along, or Charles's daughter Melissa, who has nothing but disdain for Holly. The shy and reserved Kelly, lovebirds Rome and Dee Dee, and Daryl Panic Lumley, played by Alfonso Ribeiro Carlton of French Prince of Bel-Air fame, and Tyler, played by Seth Green, who is in It, Austin Powers, and Robot Chicken and such. When they get to the campsite, the inner city youth have trouble adjusting to the local wildlife, particularly Daryl, who is used to the streets, and Tyler, who has had a touch of PTSD since being left out in the woods for days when he was 8. Major problems arise when local pot growers, using herbal steroids to accelerate plant growth, accidentally mutate wood ticks with an insatiable thirst for blood. Many people die and trip balls due to neurotoxins from the wood tick's bites. Okay. Let's go through some pros and cons here. First thing right off the bat, as usual, people think I'm such an angry guy, but I just see shit that just constantly pisses me off.
Well, doesn't that mean
That
that?
makes you an angry guy, dude.
Well, okay, for starters, the first shot of the movie, we have this light bulb that's swinging on the shed in the wind. Okay, that light bulb would last approximately 30 fucking seconds before it got shattered. Although I do think it's entertaining that they have a guinea pig, running this belt-driven pot plant operation. I thought that was funny. Alfonso Ribeiro pretending to be a badass is about as convincing as Arlie Ermy being a sensitivity trainer.
Right.
He has a cool duster though.
Yeah, he's apparently he's the only gunslinger, Wild West guy in L.A. It did have some cool effects though, like with that the tick busting out of Carlton at the end. I'm just gonna call him Carlton because I just don't want to say Alfonso.
Yep, that's fine.
And basically Clint Howard was like the whole treat of the movie for me. I like him all the effects in his face with the tick busting out of his face, and him taking pot shots at his kneecaps with the revolver because he's trying to get the tick out of his skin. Hilarious.
I'm infected.
Dude, that line was incredible.
Yes. I mean, it did this. I'm not crapping like all of the movie. There was parts that I was very entertained by, but yeah. Why does Tyler have a little bitch fit after he gets chewed up by Charles? He's not Carlton's keeper. I mean, if the guy wanted to run away in his really cool Zubaz, weightlifting pants, let him. Who cares?
Carlton's keeper. I like that title better.
Yeah, yeah. That should have been the name of the movie. Let's see. And I gotta say, within all three of these movies, why did these insects have it out for animals? I mean, I just that was really disturbing with me watching.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize all three of these would.
Animals getting hurt is just it's the worst, dude. And the thing that I think is funny, but I realize this movie was made in 1993, but basically they are using herbal steroids to make weed stronger now anyway, because judging from a guy who smoked a lot of weed, and I know what people are saying about weed now, that it's nothing to be screwing with. It's basically, we're basically caught up to this. Only, no mutated ticks. As usual, the adults don't believe them when they say there's a bunch of nasty shit out there. All the green, mucky, gross shit was really cool. Okay. I did think the hallucination stuff was a nice add. The marijuana, the assassination of youth poster on the corkboard, that is legitimately kind of like a Reefer Madness kind of movie that was actually made. So yeah, that's actually a movie title and a tagline as well. Got a bunch of racist hillbillies, which is usually par for the course. They're just assholes. Basically, Carlton, his corpse transformation, and him just completely seizing out, and just basically that giant tick coming out of him. That was pretty cool. And Dee Dee hallucinating with the I'm infested, like you mentioned before, hilarious. And Clint Howard being all deformed. The kids are dumbasses. Every single one of them. Who pours that amount of gas on a fire and then, I don't know, is that flammable? Wow. Jesus Christ. Of course, the vet discovering that there's no blood in the dog, that was kind of cool. And then when she actually is able to draw blood, the syringe, going back in.
Suck it in.
Yeah. I thought that was
pretty creepy.
Yeah, I was like, damn. And that tick, just running off with the syringe stuck inside. Actually, sometimes when I was watching the ticks, just scutter about, I almost thought it was almost kind of comical in a way, just the way that they were moving. Yeah, Yeah, once is enough. They go fishing and they reel in the dead sheriff. Okay, I wish we would have saw like the dead sheriff get killed, although him coming back in that hallucination was kind of neat. But yeah. The one thing is, Carlton, stick to doing that dance because you're not a tough guy. That's about all I got. But I mean, it did have some good points, but yeah, once is enough.
For me, it was like it took something that I was already sort of freaked out by, like ticks in general are gross me out, and I freak out when my dog gets a tick, and seeing like shelter dogs that have them like full ears of ticks, all that stuff just grosses me out. They're creepy little creatures that are hard to kill, and they somehow took something that I was already scared of and made me less scared of it.
You ever seen the movie Bats with Lou Diamond Phillips? It did the exact same thing for me.
I own that movie, yeah. Yeah, it was. There were some pretty laughable parts in this one, but it's funny to see a young Seth Green and to see, like you said, Carlton in a duster, like trying to be badass, and a bully. It's like, yeah, I mean, I wonder if people who saw this before Fresh Prince had a different opinion, but it's really hard to see him as anything but Carlton.
Pretty much.
Yeah, for me. I mean, it doesn't hold up as well as I remembered it, but I still think it's fun. It's got some cool people in the cast. I've always been a fan of Seth Green. Carlton trying to be a badass is a highlight of this movie, obviously, especially on a comical standpoint, because it doesn't work. But you got Clint Howard and his dad, Rance Howard, who plays the sheriff. It's always awesome seeing both of them. And I was also really excited, Peter Scolari in this, cause huge Bosom Buddies fan. But my biggest problem with this movie was him on several reasons, mostly because I feel like he just was underused and squandered. But then like most everybody's deliveries in this movie are not good. So those moments when Seth Green is having his little panic attacks where he's like, is he cold? Is he having a seizure? Is he having a stroke? What is he doing? What are those moments? I don't understand. And again, his little hissy fit when Peter Scolari gets on his case about losing Carlton. And he goes and like cries in the corner in the cabin or whatever. Like, what is this performance? And which also, again, going back to the original It, just watching that literally the same weekend as watching this, and me thinking, watching the original, that Seth Green is the best actor out of all those kids, tells me this is a great example of what I've said before, that you can't always blame the actors for a performance. I feel like this is a director's fault for the performances that we got, because all these people that I really, really like, all these different character actors, do bad jobs in this movie, make bad decisions, and I think it's the director's fault, which is also sad to say, because this was Tony Randall, the guy who directed Hellraiser 2, for crying out loud. So I don't know where the misstep on that was for sure, but definitely, definitely the performances weren't there. But yeah, I mean, the effects are cool. I wish I could see a better transfer of it. I watched it on Tubi, which was pretty crappy transfer. So the effects probably come off better than they actually are. But all those scenes of the ticks crawling, I freaking loved every moment of them, because it's obvious they're using many different types of effects to portray this. There's moments of stop motion, which comes off rather apparent, but then there's some moments where I'm just like, I don't know how they did that effect, which I always love it when that happens. So, and then when a movie like this, of all things, can do that for me, then I'm sold, and then it's just, what a cool concept. Of course, if you want to make a gore film, make a film about giant killer ticks, because you can get a lot of gore with them sucking blood out of people, but not only that, you can get a lot of gore by killing the ticks because they explode when you set them on fire. So and they explode a lot in this movie. So for the most part, I enjoy this movie. The parts that I hate the most are the two bad guy pot farmers. They literally annoyed the shit out of me from literally every scene that they were in. I could not.
So you literally shit yourself like Jason?
Yes, I did.
There's something in the water over here, I think.
And it made me so mad that we get this extremely long, prolonged Carlton transformation scene where he becomes this giant tick that took forever, by the way. It was cool, but it went on forever. And the whole time, that guy, the head pot farmer guy, is laying on the ground screaming at him, just screaming in terror. But you don't see what happens to the guy. Like, the main bad guy of this movie, you want to see his comeuppance. And the fact that he's annoying as shit, you just want to see him, like, just get chomped down by a tick. It obviously happens off camera. Why? Why would you do that? So, anyway, yeah, I'm kind of mixed on ticks. But Jason loved it.
No. I mean, I want Vito to go first. I don't want to. What do you think, Vito?
All right, guys. I watched this movie for the first time this weekend, and I got to tell you, this was freaking incredible. I loved the shit out of this movie, man. For real. I was gung-ho and all in from like the first scene on. I just seen Carlton Banks on there trying to act tough with his parachute pants and the trench coat. I mean, that's just how awesome was that? And I'm a huge Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fan, so I know he took this role to kind of not become typecast after that show ended or whatever. So I get why he did that. I love Seth Green. Around this time, he had done an X-Files episode, and then, of course, he was in that It 90s miniseries, which he was great in. And then Clint Howard. I mean, this movie is so good with him. The only thing I didn't get was his giant Indian feather earring. I don't understand why he had that, and he had some other weird like anklet feather thing too, which was odd.
I think he was supposed to come across as like sort of hippie-ish or something. That's my only conclusion I could come up with.
Yeah, that was odd. But I love the 90s like attitude that the kids had and just the cheesiness of it. It was just, man, I just had such a great time with this film, especially the effects. I loved how they showed the ticks running away. I mean, I was laughing my ass off each time that thing was being pulled on the string, or however they did that effect. And then, of course, the giant tick at the end with the steroids was just probably the best part of the film, I think, for me. And I also developed a drinking game for you guys. If you decide to watch this again, you have to take a shot every time someone says Jesus or Jesus Christ. And you'll be wasted probably within the first hour of the film.
Oh, nice! I didn't pick up on that.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, as far as the good stuff, I thought the tick stuff was pretty kick ass. I mean, every time a tick goes running across the floor, it was fucking awesome. To me, it felt kind of stop motion-y.
Well, again, there was a mix, because there were moments that was obviously stop motion, but there was others that I could tell that is a practical moving tick in a practical environment. And whether it was on a string or maybe like a remote control tick or something, I don't know. Some of it was disguised pretty well, so I thought.
Yeah, and I mean, all the effects were pretty awesome. And it was really ooey and gooey. It was clearly produced by, what's his name?
Brian Usna.
Oh, yeah. It had that Usna goo factor to me.
Oh, for sure. I think he shows up on sets of his movies with a big vat of goo.
I loved all that stuff. For me, the third act was my favorite part. It was just balls to the wall. I couldn't deal with the directing of the first, second, the writing, directing of the first parts. It seemed so clunky to me,
but it gets through it pretty fast. I feel like though.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, and this was around the time for me, the Seth Green that I loved was from a movie, a skateboarding or a rollerblading movie called Airborne.
Yeah, had Jack Black too, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I love that movie. So this is kind of Seth. That's the Seth Green for me. So he was. I don't know that he was good in this though. He's and every time.
But again, please tell me. I mean, you can't blame
it's not because
Seth.
Well, I don't know. His whininess was.
It was. Yes, it was very whiny, but again, he's proven it to us that he can act.
The other thing I was gonna not yell at you, but like just because the words Clint Howard is uttered does not mean that it's a good thing. I'm sorry, Mike, but every time fucking Clint Howard's name gets said, Mike gets a boner and starts yelling.
So does Rob Zombie.
And I'm like, no, I don't agree.
It's because of the nipple rubbing thing and Little Nicky, isn't it?
But I agree with you. Clint Howard was the best part of this movie.
Yeah,
he was awesome.
Suck it.
He was good in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he's good and everything.
So you'll have to back that up someday. And what is a bad Clint Howard movie?
Everything else he's ever
Bullshit.
done, except for Apollo 13. But anyway, moving on.
Don't you dare talk shit about the Wraith. He was in the Wraith. That's a good fucking movie.
Ice Cream Man.
Hey, those movies might be good.
Evil Speech.
He's not a good actor. I'm sorry. He's funny looking, and that's why he's in movies.
He was Rughead in Wraith, man. Come on.
No, I bet he was. I was.
He had hair in Star Trek.
Yeah, he did have hair in Star Trek. And Gentle Ben.
I thought Peter Scolari outacted his directing because I thought he was freaking great in all his scenes. Yeah, he was underused because every time he was on screen, he was acting circles around everybody. It was awesome.
I mean, how do you cast the juggling, cross-dressing talents of Peter Scolari and not use him?
Yeah. So I had a tough time. It was my first time too. I cannot connect what Tony Randall did this, but he also did Hellraiser 2. I just can't. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I just don't. It hurts my head. But I love all the effects. I love all the tick stuff. All that stuff's great. It's, I suppose, worth watching once, if only to play Vito's drinking game.
It'll be worth it, man. Trust me.
And I'm glad you liked it. I do. I knew you would. I just knew you would. Love that crazy shit.
See, there's more than one of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So
ticks.
Ticks.
It's divided.
Yes.
It's divided. So that is ticks. Jason, what's our next movie?
The next movie we're going to watch is from probably the best year that anything came from, 1975. That's right. We're going to talk about the movie Bug.
It was a day like any other. The air hung heavy with the heat. Then it happened. A crack in the land that reached to the very bowels of the earth itself, spitting out the fires of hell. And the gleaming black bug that had no eyes and looked like a rock. It traveled in the exhaust pipes of cars, making fire, killing, and infesting the land with a burning terror. Wherever you turned, the bug was waiting, ready to grasp you in its soul-chilling grip of terror, to push you beyond human endurance, and leave you in a state of blood-boiling fear that will drag you to the brink of your sanity. One man was determined to learn its secrets, to discover how it grew and what it needed to survive.
The Parmiterras will eat only raw meat, any kind.
At first, it ate only ashes, But now it needed meat, and it would get that meat from whatever source it could. It was a creature from hell, and nothing could stop it. The bug lives. The bug grows. The ordinary becomes the extraordinary as the bug brings you the ultimate experience in terror. A terror so real, it will make your skin crawl, your heart pound, and your soul scream for release from the bug. You won't live alone if you live at all when the bug comes to your house.
Oh my gosh, that's an intense trailer. Holy moly, the movie is not... It's not that it's misleading, but my goodness, the tone of that trailer is so different than the movie. Anyway, so Bug, 1975. An earthquake releases a bunch of mutant cockroaches that can create fire by rubbing their cerci together. That's a small appendage at the end of their abdomen. Eventually, most of the bugs die because they cannot survive in the low air pressure on Earth's surface. But a scientist, Professor James Parmiter.
You gotta learn how to pronounce names.
I can't remember how he says it. Keeps one alive in a pressure chamber. He successfully breeds the mutant cockroach with a modern cockroach, creating a breed of intelligent, flying super cockroaches. Guys, I'll tell you what. I've seen this movie many times as a youth. It used to play on USA all the time, and I have always it's always stuck in my brain. I never knew what the movie was or remembered the name of it or anything, and I haven't seen it, in 10, 15 years, probably at least because I was just a kid then. But I love this movie. I love it. I know there's some nostalgia to it, but I definitely there's the fire making cockroaches. That's scary as shit. They'll just fucking latch onto your face and burn your fucking face off. Like they're mean little shits. So, I love it. I love this movie. It was great. There's still some things like why keep one alive and breed it with another. Why would you do that? Why? Because you're upset that they killed your whatever, you want
to get revenge on them, man.
I guess revenge makes us do crazy things, right? I can't pronounce the director's name, but he did Jaws 2, so that's good, right?
Hey, awesome.
Yep. But one of the cool things is that it was written and produced by William Castle.
Yeah,
I saw that.
That just makes me like it even more.
His last film he worked on too, apparently.
Was it?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys like it?
I'll tell you what. I just want to throw this in here real quick, and then somebody else can go. But I don't know how I missed this. If you said you watched this all the time on USA, that's all I ever did was watch the USA Network back in the day. And somehow this movie eluded me. I had never seen it before. But over the past several years, I've heard of this movie called Bug from the 70s. So first of all, that alone sold me. But when I heard that it's about these bugs that shoot fire out of their vaginas and set people's hair on fire, I'm like, I've got to see this movie so bad. And then the fact it was a William Castle movie. So
why'd you make it vaginas? Why didn't you say ass?
Because it was on the front.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
So 90% of this episode was based around finally getting to see Bug because it showed up on Hulu. I'm like, oh, we're doing an episode on bugs because I got to see this movie. Yeah, and then I'll get to my opinions later, but somebody else can go.
Well, I thought it was I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay, but I felt like the tone kind of changed for me. Like in the middle, it went from kind kind of like went from like there's going to be this big bug takeover to like a guy that's like slowly losing his mind trying to solve this problem because
it's different movies for me.
His wife died. I feel like I have to watch it again, really, in order to kind of make my mind up about it because of the tone shift. I'm never eating another fucking Tootsie Roll again because that's exactly what that little like brown turd of egg thing or whatever the hell that thing looked like. I mean, it looked like a giant like just shitty chewed up Tootsie Roll, and I'm just like, okay, this is like making me nauseous just even looking at this thing.
It looked like a Tootsie Roll ravioli or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like all pinched off at the top and shit. That's where the turd tapered off. But yeah, I would like to see that giant, Tootsie Roll turd like be exploded in that deep sea diver's helmet, which was the weirdest way to conduct an experiment. But yeah, very, very different from what I thought that I was going to see. And I like looking like at old films, especially the ones in the 70s, because I like looking at old architecture and just the way things were made back then, and of course the cars, because he was driving an AMC Javelin SST, which AMC went out of business like in like the late 70s, so there's not too many of those cars around, and that car's probably not around anymore either. But yeah, very, very different from what I thought that I was going to see. And I feel like I have to watch it like again just to really kind of make my mind up about it. I'm not really indifferent about it. It's just like I feel like I need to give it more attention a second time around. I guess that's my opinion on it.
I think this one it's sort of funny how this list goes because it, falls in the middle. And I feel like on this episode, sometimes it's, a great thing to have a theme where we're all the movies are sort of similar in a way. And this one's almost tough because, some of the movies run together, but this one was just right in the middle. I didn't think it was ridiculous and as bad as Ticks, but it's not as good as the next one, I don't think. Personally, I didn't enjoy it as much, but you could definitely has that William Castle vibe to it where it's sort of some of it's pretty cheesy and corny, but it's still a lot of fun, and you can tell that they were trying really hard. And like I said, it didn't have any ridiculous parachute pants or bad haircuts like Ticks. I mean, it had the typical bad haircuts of the time, but there were some cool scenes that were sort of creative. It just didn't. I might give it another watch, like Andy said, on its own. And I feel like maybe watching all three of these sort of in close together sort of made them run together a little bit, but that's just me.
And I really, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
this was the first one I watched out of the three, and right away I was hooked, man. I thought it was done really well. That earthquake scene in the church I thought was great. How they did that was very well done. There's actually this funny scene that made me laugh. While the floor is kind of undulating and everything's caving in, there's this woman praying in the middle of the aisle while shit's falling on her, and I was just cracking up for some reason. That was really funny. There were some parts where I wasn't sure what was going on, like when they were in the truck and all of a sudden the truck like exploded out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I had missed something, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then as it went on, you find out that the bugs can light themselves or light fires and stuff, and then it kind of made sense, sort of.
Yeah, for some reason, bugs can just spontaneous combust.
Yeah. I thought they had like magma inside them because they were coming from the center of the earth. Like that's what I thought it was, but I can definitely see where Tremors 3 got the idea for the ass blasters from, because he probably stole it from this film.
Yeah.
And then the cat, I could not watch those scenes with the cat.
Oh man,
because
that pissed me off, dude.
Yeah, because they put something on a real cat to make it smoke up like that. I don't think it was fire, but
that was pretty fucked.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that at all. Another funny scene is when I I forgot who it is, but his house got damaged in the earthquake, and that repair guy comes over and he goes, "So, do we have much damage here?" And the guy goes, "No, not that much." And they cut to his wall, which is totally destroyed. There's nothing left. And I was like, "What, dude? Your entire window is just missing. What are you talking about?"
You'd like drive a car through it, you know?
Yeah, for real, man. It was really fucking hilarious. And then there's a scene where this woman has to pick up the phone, and there's a cockroach in the phone cradle.
Oh man!
And she gets Chekhov from Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and this thing's just burrowing into her. And she's screaming her head off, yelling, and the brothers take like 5 minutes to come to her when they're literally in the next room.
Yeah, it took forever for them to respond.
You know?
Yeah.
And then the one woman has her hair set on fire by the bugs, and they straight up use the Brady Bunch house for this film.
Yep.
And I thought, like, I hadn't seen the Brady Bunch in a long time, but I thought I recognized like the fireplace and the kitchen. I was like, I wonder if that's a Brady Bunch. And then later I went to IMDb and found out that it actually was. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When the one thing that I just never really understood about that scene, when I'm cooking, I'm not going to like recite, especially if I'm alone. I'm like, oh, what the? Just to hear myself talk, she like literally said like the whole damn recipe like to herself. Like it's like you're filling dead air, so this bug can do this really creepy shit.
And I think she's reading those off the cue cards, like right off camera. If you watch her eyes, I think she's actually reading them.
But when they get caught on fire, they get caught on fucking fire.
Yeah, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, like when the professor was in bed and he kind of wakes up, he's like, "Oh shit, I think something's burning. It's me!" And he just ripped the stuff off, and there's a bunch of cockroaches on him. And that scene reminded me of Puppet Master 3 with the leech woman, where she's throwing a bunch of leeches on this guy. I was totally getting some Puppet Master vibes off of that one.
Nice.
I love the practical effects they used. It looks like they used real cockroaches for, I think, all the scenes, if I'm not mistaken, or for majority of them.
Yeah.
And Mike, those were real cockroach vaginas as well.
Yeah, they were.
There was a great scene where there's cockroaches like on this trench while they're carrying the egg sack down the trench, and they're all looking at it. I thought that was really, really, really well done, man. Probably my favorite shot of the film, I think.
Yeah, the majority of the bug work in this movie was outstanding. One of my favorite bug moments is when they're spelling out words on the wall that they live.
Yeah, that was great.
I thought was really cool and
creepy.
It's really creepy at the same time. And that goes back to what Andy was saying about the tone of this movie, because I felt that too, big time. First half of the movie felt like a 70s movie that forgot that 50s sci-fi horror films were over. You know,
atomic age type shit.
Yeah,
movies like Food of the Gods or Empire of the Ants and all that kind of
the Lepus.
Night of the Lepus, especially Night of the Lepus, yes. And the first half of the movie felt like that to me. Like it felt super cheesy and hilarious. When her hair caught on fire, I laughed my ass off. What's that?
My mind went straight to like the Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial, you know, when his hair caught on
fire. But shortly after that scene is when movie got dark. Like, you know, and again, the whole plot changes. Our hero turns out to be a mad scientist,
right?
Who basically almost creates the end of the world, and
for real
is like holds up in this house, just obsessed with these freaking cockroaches and the breeding and them getting out and eating him while he's in bed, and when they become intelligent and when they get out of the house and they're flying around, and it just feels like this is going to end dark. And they should have. I feel like William Castle's like, no, we can't end it like this, because it felt like there was a moment that boom, that's the end of the movie, and it's one of those like Kingdom of the Spiders where there's no victory at the end. The insects win, and humanity is doomed. And I thought that would have been a great ending. But then you get the whole thing where the earthquake starts up and he falls into the hole, and conveniently all the bugs follow him into the hole.
Oh, thank goodness too.
And then it closes up. I'm like, oh my god, that's right back to 50s right there. And you can definitely tell that William Castle wrote this movie because of the science. William Castle writes the best fake science in the world, aka the Tingler. So yeah, I freaking loved this movie. This is my favorite of the episode. It felt like it had a lot of William Castle influences, but it had a shit ton of the cheesy Animal Attacks 70s movie, which I love that subgenre to death. And the effects were cool. Some car explosions, people catching on fire. What's not to like?
Right?
So yeah, Bug, huge thumbs up for me. Yeah, Buggaloos.
Yay!
Yeah. So Tad, what's our next film?
Our next film is the 1988 film The Nest.
They've defied evolution for 300 million years. But now, they're changing.
Is it them?
The Nest.
Horrifying shocker as a biological experiment goes haywire when meat-eating mutant roaches invade an island community, terrorizing a peaceful New England fishing village and hideously butchering its citizens. Yeah, The Nest. I thought this one was the most fun out of the group. I remember this cover art like on the video shelf, but I've never seen this one. It was the first watch for me. Directed by Terrence Winkless. That's an interesting name. Yeah, this one was a lot of gory fun. Very much a product of the 80s. I'm thinking this one has a cult following. I love the characters. We have the sheriff, I think is what he is. He's a cop of some kind. He's got a love triangle going on with an old fling and his current girlfriend who is runs a diner in town. There's some just mean ass roaches that will fuck you up instantly. Some nasty scenes where they chew things to the bone and some good gore. And man, this one was fun. What do you guys think?
This was actually my least favorite of the three, believe it or not. Okay. On paper, this should be my favorite for some reason, but it wasn't. For me, there was, especially in the beginning, there was like this weird vibe to me. I didn't know if it was trying to be a comedy or a horror film. There were some weird like music changes that didn't make much sense to me. But the effects were done extremely well, especially towards the end. I thought the ending was my favorite part. The dad skeleton. There's that weird skinless cat thing in the middle, although I didn't appreciate, again, the animal mutilations in this film. And then that last monster that was kind of like a thing monster where it was amalgamation of like everything throughout the movie. I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah, but on the whole, I don't know. This was my least favorite, but the effects I thought were great. And I have to mention the ball sacks in the mine because that really cracked me up.
Especially when the psycho scientist lady is like, she's just almost starts caressing them.
Right, yeah.
Right there at the end.
Try to get that cheese or something.
Like killer clowns.
Yeah, I liked some of the crazy characters. They had her. She was like a emotionless scientist, like lunatic that almost lets the roaches eat her whole hand off.
Yeah, she was like getting off on the fact that the roaches were eating her hand.
Yeah, that whole thing was cool. Like he had to force her to pull her hand out of there before they finish it off, and that kind of stuff creeped me out most out of everything we watched. Like this one, for some reason, I think maybe the way the roaches sort of were like piranhas, they would swarm and just devour whatever's there.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. What was the character's name that wore the Hawaiian shirt, the sort of crazy guy? Was that Homer?
Homer, yeah.
Homer.
Yeah, I loved him too. He was my favorite part of the movie. He was sort of he was sort of the crazy guy we have in every 80s horror movie, you know. He was such a highlight, and I'm so glad at the end it seemed like he was going to die and he doesn't. So that was awesome.
Kind of like the Randy Quaid in Independence Day, you know. It's just like
Yeah, he was definitely my favorite character too. He was he was funny and a lot of fun. And
Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, he wore a Hawaiian shirt. Yeah. I really love this movie a lot too. Although I will admit this was the one I was the most worried about. Like I didn't know how it was going to hold up for everyone else, because obviously there's obviously a lot of production flaws, right? And there's some weird character motivations. You know, when you stop and think about it, our hero is kind of a dirtbag because
he's an asshole.
He has this relationship with the waitress at the diner, and then just instantly hooks up with his old flame as soon as she shows up.
Yeah,
without even giving any regard to the waitress. And it almost feels like that whole thing of the love triangle is pointless in the movie, because he only has one scene with that waitress, and that's at the beginning of the movie, and then she just doesn't exist for him anymore.
She becomes a throwaway character. I mean, what's her purpose? You know, aside.
There was really no reason for him to have a relationship with both of them.
Yeah, and the tone is weird. Like Vito said, it doesn't know. You know, it's hard to tell if, like, is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be scary? Because it kind of does jump all over the place. Like one of the most awkward, I think, comic relief scenes I've ever seen in a movie, which I think is trying to rip off Gremlins in a way, in several ways. Is that scene where she's killing all the roaches in the diner. She's like grinding them up in the blender, putting them in the microwave.
She's like singing or something, right? She's singing a song while she's doing it.
No, she's making bad, like Arnold Schwarzenegger
one-liners. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, they're paying La Cucaracha in the background
is playing. Which I read on IMDb that the guy who plays Homer actually was the singer on that rendition of La Cucaracha.
Oh, God.
Nice.
So, La Cucaracha is playing during the scene of, like, this cockroach attack scene where she's killing all the roaches. So, you know, cockroaches explode in the microwave, so that felt really Gremlins-y. It also just kind of reminded me of the bar scene in Gremlins, where it's just kind of chaos and the one waitress trying to deal with it. So, that was a weird tone amongst all the craziness and carnage. And I think with all the gore that's in this movie, the grossest, most disgusting scene is that pancake syrup all over the feet of that girl with the headphones.
How gross is that?
Yeah.
Rubbing it on her legs and shit. I'm like, ugh.
Okay, so that was pancake syrup? I thought she pissed herself for some reason.
Oh. No, she brought up that her mom, or who was it?
Yeah, okay.
Her aunt brought up them pancakes.
All right, I totally thought that was just her pissing herself for some weird reason that they include. I have no idea why.
Makes just as much sense.
They were really trying to sell the fact that how the roaches get to the ant in the bed. They're following the trail of syrup. But they overplay it. Like, you can see the syrup you can see her spill the syrup on her way up the stairs. You cut back and you see the syrup on the stairs. And then, just to make sure we drive the point home, she's got syrup all over her feet.
Yeah, she brings Aunt Clara carpet cakes in bed.
Yeah,
very nice. Very nice of her.
Oh my God.
I need a dog that, you know, I spilled bacon grease on the floor tonight, and the dog took care of all that. So.
But it has some good gore, some again really cool effects and with the roaches and dealing with the roaches. And this is a movie, again, this was another one that's like, okay, we're going to do a bug movie. I have to put The Nest on the list because I've never seen it. And I've always wanted to see it because I remember back in the day of, Fangoria magazine and Gorezone magazine and just seeing the pictures from The Nest in this. And they showed the pictures of like the dad deteriorating or the hybrid queen at the very end. They showed a lot of pictures of the hybrid queen in Fango. And so I'm like, I've got to see how that makes sense. Well, it doesn't, but it's still very, very cool. So I really dug The Nest myself. That's my 2 cents.
Me too. Same page. I liked it a lot. It's probably the second favorite one of these. I liked a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, it had some tone troubles, but not as bad as the first movie. And, a lot of the gore and stuff's cool. And it was neat. And wasn't that the main girl in something else that you love? What was that?
The love interest girl? Oh, yeah. She was the female punk member of the gang in Class of 1984.
That's right.
Okay.
I love that freaking movie.
Oh, yeah. That movie's awesome.
That's pre Back to the Future Michael J. Fox, right?
That's right. Little baby Michael J. Fox is in that. I mean, he still looks the same.
Just a little baby.
And then I couldn't understand how the bad guy, the dad, could be the bad guy in that sweater. Like how do you be?
He reminded me of the bad guy in Jason Takes Manhattan. Like,
that was it. The whole movie.
Yeah.
Figure out who he looked like.
He looks and acts like him. Like you're just an asshole in a bad sweater, dude.
Totally.
Oh my God, you hit the nail on the head. Oh, I need to see a picture. There he is. Yes.
Those eyebrows.
Yeah. Definitely the eyebrows. Oh, one last thing real quick, and then I'll let somebody else go. But again, director Terrence H. Winkless, most famous for directing many episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and also not being able to wink.
Yeah.
But put the rim shot in there.
Yeah, I thought one of the main actresses was only going to take this role if they found a director that couldn't wink because she had problems in the past where people were trying to hit on her and stuff. But I guess that's not true.
No, definitely not. Apparently they wanted her to do, nude scenes and she didn't want to do it.
With Henry Winkler.
Oh, he can wink like a mother.
This was good. This was on Tubi as well. Is that where we saw it? Did I make that up?
I think this one's on.
I think
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think I watched this on Prime.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It's cool. It's 80s. It reeks of its 80ness, and that's why
all these
it goes
movies,
down all right.
All these movies rink of their time period. Big time.
That's a good point. Oh,
I don't think I will be buying the Scream Factory Special Edition Blu-ray of this one, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I think I'd have a better time watching it with like a group of people than by myself. That's why I watch it. So,
for sure, yeah.
With a group, I think it'd be a lot more fun for me. Yeah, I think I would watch it again.
Yep. I agree with that.
Andy, did you say anything?
I think I pretty much said all I needed to say. I mean, you guys have kind of pretty much, said what I felt about it. I mean, I thought some of the effects were really good, and like with the doctor getting her hand munched on, and I just the really slapstick stuff, with Homer blowing up his own house. I mean, what's with people what's with like people in flammables in this movie? They're very careless.
He throws the cigarette down on the trail of gasoline, and then he's like, "They blew up my house."
Yeah, he blames it on the bugs. It's hilarious.
You dumbass. Yeah.
But I mean,
house explosion. I'm sorry, that house explosion. Real quick. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. It was the house and the pickup. Was stock footage from Humanoids from the Deep, because this was a Concord production.
Yeah, Julie Corman produced this one.
Yeah, that's right. some of the one-liners that Homer uses, and like like when the sheriff hands him like that empty container of what looked like to be like either a T-bone or a pork chop. Could a bug do this? Oh yeah, if he had a knife and a fork.
Homer's awesome.
Just really. I mean, he really is like the gem of the film. But yeah, the dad transforming at the end. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it showed shades of Debbie from Nightmare 4 and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, it definitely had that I knew what kind. You knew it was the new Concorde sort of feel to it. I mean, it gave me that, like you said, the humanoids from the deep kind of vibe, and like, that sort of. And I know it's like nowhere near the same kind of film, but it had the same kind of production value. Like when we watched like Sorority House Massacre, it had stuff, but it had its limitations as well. And yeah, I might watch it again. Just mainly due to the effects, but I mean, it's just like there's a lot of like in terms of character development, like just like the thing that really troubled me about this film is just the whole thing, the love triangle. It just, like we said, like we went over before, it wasn't even needed. She still could have done those scenes like in the diner where she's like recreating the Gremlins bar scene. She didn't even need to be involved with the sheriff. I mean, they still could have done that.
It's just so weird because it's like we need to have somebody to root for, and he should be the guy that we're rooting for, and this makes us not really want to, because he's being a sort of shithead.
Yeah. Then, oh shit! What else was there that just I couldn't? Yeah, there's certain things that really kind of sunk it for me. I mean, if they would have made slight adjustments, it would have been better in my opinion. But
if you came across the VHS or Laserdisc, then maybe you'd pop it in.
I just for like what Tad said, just the nostalgic cover horror in me, and I would probably, if it was cheap, I'd buy it. But because I remember seeing it in like Video Kingdom and stuff like that, and I'm just like, ooh, what's that? And I'm like, then my parents would be like, get the hell away from that, you're not watching that. Which is why later I became like this freaking horror nut. I was a late bloomer, which is why I think one of the reasons why I like to watch older stuff anyway is because this was what I was missing. So it's like a big screw you to my childhood.
Nice.
Very nice.
Well, cool. Those are the films, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the topic of bugs.
Buggin'.
But fear not, gentle listeners. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it'll be segments time on the show. Also, if you do like Attack of the Killer podcast, check out all the other shows on the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, including Geeking Poetic. Yay. And then also check out our new attackers, Joe and Ryan, and their show as well, Late Night Psychorama. That and so many other shows on the network. You can go to thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
And we are back, and it's time for the segments of the show. And we're going to do the segment that we always do when we start segments, and that's the segment called Shoutouts.
It's time for Shoutouts! 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 Shoutouts!
All right. We asked, what are your favorite horror movies about bugs? And in our Facebook group edition, we had Trevor McElhenney says Creep Show.
Woo!
It's good. Whoa, he's really happy about that.
It's Creep Show.
Them! Exclamation.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yep. And The Swarm. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking something else. Yeah, The Swarm is awesome. Cool. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one in the world that likes that movie.
It might just be you too, then.
Probably. Made for TV, another great 70s Bugs Gone Wild movie.
Yep. Then over on our Facebook proper official page, we got Wes Worthing says Squirm from 1976. I watched this in a theater twice when I was 10.
Hi, Wes. You're awesome.
Lucky bitch.
You're awesome, Wes. But my girlfriend said the same thing. She said Squirm, and I kept correcting her, so I'm going to have to do it here now as well. Worms aren't bugs.
Oh, what? Technicality. Sorry, Wes.
But Squirm is awesome, directed by Jeff Lieberman. And the scene that the bugs are the worms are digging into.
Is it, Mike?
The worms are digging into the guy's face, and he's trying to pull him out. That effect was done by Rick Baker.
Rick Baker, nice. Next, we got Scott Reebsman says Mosquito from 1994 is my jam. Mm-hmm. It's awesome what they were able to accomplish on a low budget, and it seems like it was a lot of fun to make. Camp Bloody Fun.
Still have not seen Mosquito, so I need to do that.
Anybody else? I haven't.
I think I might have seen a trailer for that, or I might be mixing that up with Skeeter, which was another Mosquito movie from around the mid-90s.
Yeah. Then we got our attacker, Andrew Moeller says The Bay. Gosh, dang, that movie fucking rules.
Oh yeah, that does. I freaking love that movie. Kind of forgot about that one. I guess that would qualify.
Yep. So, yeah. And then he says David Cronenberg's The Fly and the original with Vincent Price. Slither, Dead Ant, and Arachnophobia. Which I'm guessing Mike's going to disqualify that one too.
Yeah, spiders aren't bugs.
Anyway, up next, thanks, Andrew. Up next, we got Brian Clark. You know Brian.
Woo, Brian!
And he says, and this is going to be a shocker to you, but he says, Phase 4 is one of my favorite science fiction films of all time, as I've discussed on the show before. It's so funny because anytime Tina talks about something that I don't know that she doesn't like or is slow, she's like, well, it's better than watching ants crawl around for fucking 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
Come on.
I'm like, I love Phase 4.
Phase 4 is awesome.
I thought so too. He says, never has 90 minutes of people doing math at ants been so gripping. Doing math at ants. He's right. It's a good movie. All 5 movies in the Fly franchise are great, with Cronenberg's remake at the top of the heap. William Castle's Bug, about prehistoric bombardier beetles with hive mind hatred for humanity, is a lot of fun.
Brian might be the one that first made me aware of Bug.
Oh, good job, Brian.
Yeah.
God, that movie's awesome.
I know we've talked about it back in the day when he was on the show.
And he says, and no Killer Bug movie night is complete without Burt I. Gordon's Empire of the Ants.
Yeah, that actually is a really awesome movie.
Yeah.
And the ants get smart in that too. So
scary. Then we got attacker Tim Lennerer says, do tongue-devouring isopods count? The Bay is an extremely good found footage horror movie from Barry Levinson.
I'm going to have to look up if isopods would be considered bugs. Because I've been calling everybody else out.
That's true. You look at
They're all yelling at me right now. But isopods are bugs. But the bay's awesome.
It is. He's no idea if he wanted to make a horror movie or if that's just what he could get the funding for. But he brought decades of filmmaking experience to bear on making the audience squirm.
No movie has done a more terrifying scene where it's just audio when those two police officers go into the house and all you hear is, their reactions and their screams and the gunfires like over the police radio. Freaking awesome.
Yep. And then we got, Vito's going to love this one. We got Mike Murphy. I don't know if you know this, but Badass Booze Body Count is back, Mike.
It's back and better than ever.
That's right. Mike says, Starship Troopers.
Yeah, buddy.
Good campy fun with massive amounts of gore. I almost rewatched it for this episode just to have for fun. I'm going to watch it soon because it's been forever. Every time I go to it, I'm like, it's like 7 hours long. I don't remember that. But it's longer than I thought it was. So I always get nervous and I don't push play, but I need to watch it again.
You can't judge a movie based on its length, Jason.
That's true. I'm hanging out with Tad too much. He's influencing me that way.
Very true.
Up next, we got Don and Ellie. He says, mosquito, ticks, larva, mansquito. They crawl and they nest for the campier side of the genre. More serious stuff would be the Fly franchise, the Bay, and the Tingler. Oh, I suppose the Tingler is not a real insect.
I'll look into it.
Okay, next we got Chris Anderson says Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Patty Forrest Johnson says Bug. Good answer, Patty. Movie's awesome. Nina Romaine says
whoa. Because there's two movies called Bug.
There's probably more. It's not the one with
that William Friedkin movie from a decade,
which I almost watched. You need to start putting the years next to our homework.
Well, it wouldn't have been bad if you watched it because it's a really good movie, and it technically isn't really about bugs, but it's about bugs.
Yeah,
it's more like in your brain, psychological craziness.
Up next,
are maggots bugs?
Yeah,
eventually.
Because I just think of that scene from Hellraiser 2 now.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
You're eating maggots, Michael.
Oh, definitely the Bay. She says. Nina says the Bay. Whether it counts or not, it's a good movie. Mike Reeb, the Reebster. He says there are so many. Good one here. He says Joe's Apartment.
Yes. Oh, man, I love Joe's Apartment.
Says that many roaches is horrifying. No shit.
The very first MTV movie.
Oh, man, that's fun. Mosquito is awesome, mainly because of Gunnar Hansen. I didn't know he was in that.
Yep.
Because I haven't seen it. Slugs is fantastic. Plus, it rhymes with bugs, so it should count. So there, Mike. But nothing beats the classics. Them, Tarantula, Beginning of the End, and the Fly movies.
Beginning of the End. I think that's also a Bird-Eye Gordon film, and it's about giant grasshoppers. Check it out. Mysteries. You'll love it, Jason. There's a Mystery Science Theater 3000
Cool.
episode.
I'll just watch that.
Yep.
And then there was no one had commented on Instagram, which you can do, people. Just follow us over there, Attack of the Killer Podcast. But we got some on Twitter. We got Attacker Brian Godsill says, gotta love ticks, and it has Clint Howard in it.
Yeah, see, Jason?
I say something, he says, anything with Clint Howard gets love from me. Well,
yeah, Jason.
Maybe you and Mike, but it doesn't guarantee love. I'm just saying. But good picks, Brian. Next, we got Nightmare Junkhead at Nightmare Junk. Yeah, what is their full? Oh, Nightmare Junk. Yep. They say it's only part of an anthology, but boy, it is a creepy crawly way to go out on. But they're creeping up on you segment from Creep Show always makes me squirm.
Yep.
It's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also come back and say, although not a bug movie, I did recently experience slugs for the first time, and it was eye-exploding goodness. Up next, we got the Junk Food Cinema podcast at Junk Food Cinema says, Mant. Yes, I know it's not a real movie, but instead, the movie within Matinee. No, I don't care. And then they put a little picture. It's really cute. Good pick. And then we got Howard Pyrat at HFPIERATT. He says, the cockroach scene in Creep Show. That's a good one. And that's all we had over on Twitter. You can leave us comments anytime. You can also give us a call on our voicemail, and we'll play your message on the show. You can give us a call at 415-952-6857. The shortcut to that number is 415-95-AOTKP, and that's shout-outs. Oh, but we're not done yet, folks. We have another celebrity visit come to introduce the last segment. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't even know who it is. I get to push this button, and they get to come on and introduce you. So here I'm pushing the button.
Hey there. This is Sam Elliott for Attack of the Killer podcast. Now, I ain't seen as many horror movies as you fellers, and, well, I will say this. I was in Frogs and that Hitler and Bigfoot movie, whatever it was. But I will say this. I was in a movie called Mask, and seeing Eric Stoltz and that whole Rocky Dennis get up was creepy enough. But I'll tell you this: being the love interest, Cher was pretty damn spooky, considering she was 123 goddamn years old at the time. You go ahead and pick that around in your brain while Insane Mike makes his picks. See you on down the trail.
Thank you, Sam Elliott. I love doing Frogs. The movie for this Insane's pick is not Frogs. It's Zoltan, Hound of Dracula from 1977, also known as Dracula's Dog. Russian soldiers accidentally unleashed the servant of Dracula as well as his pet dog during an excavation in Romania. Together, they set out on a family road trip to America to find the last of the Dracula bloodline. Meanwhile, the Drake family is also excited about their upcoming vacation, a month-long camping trip. What family ever takes a month-long camping trip to a clear lake away from civilization? And they even bring their two German shepherds, Annie and Samson, and the two puppies. So together in their fully loaded camper, which they end up just making the kids sleep outside in the dirt while they sleep in the nice cozy bed inside the camper. And the Drax family in their camping hearse, I guess, end up in the same location in the woods, and hilarity ensues. This film is directed by Albert Band, the father of Full Moon's Charles Band, who also directed such films as I Bury the Living, Ghoulies 2, and Robot Wars. It has Reggie Nalder as the kind of Renfield type character that is basically driving the dog around to try to find the last descendant of Dracula. Michael Patakia plays both Dracula and the father, Michael Drake, in this movie. So that should clue you in on who the last descendant of Dracula is, or at least who they think it is. Jose Ferrer is in it. That's awesome. He plays the inspector in the movie. So it's a fun movie. It drags a bit, but hey, a vampire dog running around, killing people and stuff. You can't beat that. Him just sucking the blood from people and whatnot. And the dog even has its own flashback to when it first became a vampire. So
awesome.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. I have it on the Anchor Bay DVD release, which is long out of print right now. So I'm not sure where you can actually see this. I should have probably done research to help you guys out, track this one down, but I didn't. So whatever. But it's a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. It's got a great tagline. There's more to a legend than meets the throat. That's right. 1977. Sultan, Hound of Dracula.
Very nice. I've always heard about the dog flashback. So that's
yeah, not enough dog flashbacks, right? Anyway, so that concludes another episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. Special thanks to our guest Vito. Thanks for being on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, so I do a podcast called Geeking Poetic. We are part of the Prescribed Films podcast network. I do that podcast with my friends Larry and Megan. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all at Geeking Poetic.
Do it, people.
Yes, definitely do it. Good stuff. Okay, and as we sign off, a little word to the wise. Sleep tight, attackers, and don't let the bed bugs bite. I don't get it.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 It's the end of the show. See you next time.
Boom, 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 boom. Join the attackers today. Hip, 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 hooray. Join the attackers today. Yes, you, Sally, you, Bob, and you also, Ray. It won't cost you a whole lot of booty, but it is your American duty. Join the attackers today. You better do what a freak could say. JoinTheAttackers.com.